Nice. We are live. Welcome again to everyone watching to another episode of this video series where we as Luna.ai interview 100 sales professionals to learn all about their experience as a founding AE or one of the first people in the sales team for a high performance and fast growing startup company. As you know, my name is Nelemans. I'm one of the founders and CEO of Luna.ai. And before I give the floor to Shristi, I wanted to give you a quick introduction on, of course, for the people that are new here, on what we're actually building. So we want to build the ultimate sales AI. We're really focused on top of funnel right now with Luna.ai. Really using AI to find your perfect leads, to scrape the internet, find all of the relevant information there is to find, and then write mind-blowing sales emails. Everything, an all-in-one solution for you to generate your leads as effectively as possible. That about Luna.ai. Let's dive into the details. I'm very much looking forward to this conversation. So Shristi, if you can tell a little bit more about yourself and about Zenskar, that would be awesome.
Sure, Steven. First of all, thank you for having me here. Very happy. Having looked at Luna before, I'm sure that it will be the most favorite tool for sales folks. Fingers crossed. But yeah, quickly introducing myself. I joined the founding team for Zenskar to lead the outbound sales motion somewhere early July. And before I dive deep into that, right before that, I had been working at a venture capital firm, helping early stage founders with their go-to-market journeys, figuring their tech stack. So at Zenskar, the role was similar to figure out, let's say, what the sales engine would look like majorly in terms of prospecting, sales enablement, engagement, everything on those lines, the tooling essentially, and post that understanding who our ICP is, what their pain points are, how should the scripts be structured, everything around sales basically that we're trying to achieve, right? Just
Nice.
in there, trying to build a community and figure out like the best practices.
Wow, that's a lot at the same time. That's very awesome. Can you maybe also share a bit more about what you guys are building, because software is awesome?
Sure. So essentially, Zenskar is a new age billing tool. We are backed by Bessemer today and other renowned VCs. So in the process, what we realized is while legacy billing tools are amazing at, let's say, automating simple billing, right? There are certain issues, especially in the B2B SaaS space, especially as we are moving towards usage-based pricing models and customers only want to pay for what they use. Zenskar actually comes in with a drag and drop infrastructure where companies can actually automate billing without investing any additional engineering bandwidth, because we have seamless integrations, we're API first, and a lot of other benefits, like given that we just don't focus on billing alone, but also help you automate RevRec, AR, collections, everything in one place. So it's like a more of a FinOps automation tool, so that you don't have to worry about anything later, right? So just trying to make a difference there. Already onboarded several customers, looking forward to growing more together. So
yeah. That's awesome. Especially like we've been thinking about this for quite a while as well with Luna. Like we're of course charging people dollars, but you also want to reward people, right? Like with gamification or with other things that you can take. If you can give people like free credits in a free plan, or like have a freemium model, PLG motion, stuff like that, stuff becomes complicated very, very quickly. But like that's the thing that you're solving, right? Among others.
Right, because sales people always want to get creative, right? We want to get creative. We want to close more customers. So it makes sense for us to offer those premiums, discounts, add-ons, whatever it takes to close customers. And when billing starts getting complicated, you like depend from team to team. Let's say sales, finance, sales has the information, finance needs it from sales. Then you have a separate metering department for the usage. So it gets all very complicated. And that's why we want to just jump in and say that you focus on your team's work while we take care of all the billing. So I hope it becomes a game changer there.
Nice. That's very cool. Very cool. One of the things that struck me was you joined the founding team, right, to focus on the sales engine. It sounds like a very like broad product with a lot of functionality. What did the product look like when you first started?
So we were first, fun fact is Zenskar started off as a RevRec company. But soon enough, when our founders, who are serial entrepreneurs today, like they figured that after talking with many companies across in the SaaS space in other industries, they realized that it is not only about RevRec, to be honest, but also billing in its own self, especially usage-based or complex billing when it comes to it, where founders or let's say CFOs are really looking for a lot of help. So we decided that we'll be a full stack tool. So when I joined, the billing function, the RevRec was already built out, and we're still adding more features continuously just to make sure that we become an all-in-all tool. And back then, let's say, yeah, that was the focus. I think that we've really built an enterprise grade tool. It's all about approaching sales the right way and making sure we reach the right audience.
Gotcha. And was that product when you joined already fully sellable? Like,
Yeah,
was it? Yeah.
it was
Gotcha.
actually. We had,
Nice.
I think, a few customers back then also. Yeah.
Nice. Ah, that's awesome. Yeah, I hear from a lot of people in this podcast as well, and also people that we're speaking to on a regular basis. That when they first started out, like there was sort of product market fit, but not necessarily yet. So you're not only focusing on closing deals and like trying to get more customers and growing revenue, right? You're also partly like a product manager, product owner, where you say, okay, hey, I'm speaking to these customers, they really want to close the deal, but I need A, B, C, and D. And then you're working very closely with the dev team and stuff like that, which might not be the first thing that you signed up for when you first joined the company. Was that also your case, or could you just like fully dive into the sales engine?
Now that you mentioned that, like initially, I would say, for example, in Zenskar's case, like initially the focus was obviously building a world class product, but and when I joined, the focus was just shifting gears to getting more let's say meetings booked, because we had the product, we just wanted to make sure that we're selling it to the right people as well. So initially, yes, it did. Let's say we did spend time in measuring the product market fit. We do realize that it's already there because our investors believe the same, and yeah, it was just there to figure out, like at least in the pain points and the right personas to reach out to. I think that was the tough nut to crack, and exactly what your messaging should be. So yeah.
Exactly. I can imagine. Awesome. Let's dive into the sales engine. What is the sales engine like? You do not have to give away any proprietary information, of course, but give us a bit of an overview of an insight of what your preferred way of outreach looks like. Are you using multi-channel, or like basically what does it look like?
Sure. So initially, when I joined, I was the only person on the sales team, so it was tough for me to, just directly pick up multi-channel approach, and which is why we started off, what is called the spray and pray in the industry. Luckily for me, Google and Yahoo hadn't restricting the rules back then, so we still had some leeway to experiment. So over there, I was just figuring out, let's say, which prospecting tool to use, what would be budget friendly, also, right? Because early stage startups need to make sure they're not overspending, and the ROI on per qualified meeting booked is also converting to sales. So keeping all of that in mind, we devised that stack, and we started running like fully automated campaigns as well, like trying to still personalize and make sure that those are only relevant and we're not really spamming people, just dividing industry by industry and making sure our prospecting is doing the, let's say, manual work, or like it's not just spamming. But yeah, that was where we started. But now that we realize that, of course, fully automated campaigns aren't the way to scale, right? They can only give you so many meetings, and spray and pray won't last forever. So we are definitely like hiring more videos on the team, expanding the multi-touch approach, like experimenting with let's say the scripts, the touch points, how many sequences should we have to just figure out what really works.
Exactly. Are you using AI in any of the steps, like in setting up the sales engine?
Yeah. So initially, like when we were, let's say, sending out the fully automated campaigns, it didn't really make a lot of difference, or let's say get a lot of traction initially, right? Because nobody likes for you to send generic emails, even if you have, let's say, specified it industry wise. They want you to spend that time, research on that company, make sure it is very relevant, right? So we put that time in, we try to leverage AI as well, figure out what are the pain points, what are those companies we should look at, and then try to put it in, let's say, maybe use GPT every once in a while, use some extensions that tools have. For example, Clay as well was also a great tool that we figured out back then, and just personalized emails using AI. So I think that personalizing with AI was a true game changer.
Nice. That's very cool. What is, like, if you take a look at the sales engine, it's a sequence, right? Multiple steps, multiple channels. How did you approach figuring out what to do when? Like which channel to use, how long to wait, when to send, when to like do other stuff. How did you approach that?
Right. Given that I had started off, let's say, as a sales professional at Zenskar, but right before that, my experience was more geared towards just go-to-market journeys in general, not necessarily doubling down in sales, right? So the first step that at least
Nice.
helped me all along the way was to genuinely reach out to like experts who have been in the sales domain before via LinkedIn or something engine, and then get in touch with, exchange notes, listen to what's working, what's not working, just like we're doing this interview right now, right? Which hopefully will help many sales professionals out there. This didn't exist back then,
I'm
right?
sure
So
it will.
yeah. Yeah. So that outreach helped talking to people, and the sales community is really strong. People want each other to grow, right? So that's what helped me devise, okay, what we should do or should not do, and everything else is obviously company specific. You have to experiment and figure out for your own. So what I realized for on my own is that follow-ups are like the way to go. Like, if your lead is engaging with your emails that you're sending, then you have to follow up with them on that very day, or you're losing out on a good demo meeting booked. So yeah, that I would pray by.
100%. Are you also doing calls, like cold calling and stuff like that, or not?
Yeah, we are experimenting with it actually, but I think at least initially we haven't seen a lot of success there, I would say, because the connect rates, I think, industry wide are falling a little bit. People are not that interested in picking up the phones, especially if they come from unknown numbers. Not sure on that exactly, but that's what we faced till now. Still experimenting and looking out for ways to improve that. But yeah, that's where we're at.
I can imagine. And are you doing it like as a separate channel, or is it like a part of the
It's a
sequence
part
or
of the
part of the sales engine?
sequence, yeah.
Gotcha. That's also an interesting one, because that's also what we've been thinking about for a while with Luna. When do you instruct someone to call them, right? Like how can you, what data points can you use, or what is like a good trigger for tell someone, or like for someone to pick up the phone and start calling? Because the cold calling itself, like we see that as well, like literally cold calling, that's becoming more and more challenging.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think there's still a way, but no, we need to figure that out. Like, how do you
Yeah.
determine what, do you have specific triggers in your sales out, in your sequence, where you say, okay, now we're going to call, or is it like a step within the process?
I think it's both. It is definitely a step in the process. I think there are about 3 calls in my entire sequence that lasts for about approximately a month. But beyond that, if let's say somebody is definitely opening the emails more than 2 times, for example, so it does make sense to give them a call. They're almost like at their desk, very likely to pick up the phone. Hopefully, our connect rates will improve. So just calling them right then and
Nice.
there, their interest, even if it's a yes or a no, right? Even if it's a no for that matter. But I just want that no so that I know which accounts to focus on and which to not. So that helps actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. You actually said something very interesting, that your sequence, it lasts on average a month. What did you what did how did you come up with basically making it a month? How many touch points are in there, and why did you decide to make it a month?
I think there are about 11 or 12 touch points today, distributed across email
Nice.
and cold calling. Initially, we started off, with the inspiration from the Agoji sequence, but then figured that we still need to experiment internally because it worked back then, may not work today. But the reason why we span it out across a month instead of just wrapping it up in 2 weeks is because if I want to send you like 4 emails, I still don't want to be spamming you, right? It is possible that, let's say, when I send you the first email in the first week and second email, let's say, just being aggressive within the next 2 days, I would want to wait for a week, give you a week, that just in case you are, busy with other priorities, you get the time to look at my email and then reply to me instead of just badgering you with emails and annoying. It just wouldn't make sense. So that's where we come from. Like the first 2 emails maybe in the first week, then give a week's gap, then send another email, and then lastly give a 10-day gap, for instance, in case the person is out of office, not focusing on this right now, this may not be a priority, and then you send the traditional breakup email, right? That just in case this is not
Exactly.
something for now, can I reach out in 6 months? So yeah.
Exactly. And also, do you start a drip campaign after that, like to occasionally reach out, or like set a or is it like after the breakup email, we're just gonna leave them alone and make sure that we don't annoy them any further?
Yeah, I think it has to be a mix of both. Of course, like for people who haven't engaged at all, we would not want to, keep sending them other emails, because like they're probably not aware of Zenskar today, and we don't want to stand in the bad light, because our intention is not to annoy them, but rather to be useful for them and for them to actually get some ROI out of Zenskar, right? So those leads we
Yeah.
would prefer to leave alone, and maybe reach out to after a few months, after let's say a cooling period of maybe 4 to 5 months. But let's say, for example, if people have clicked on your collateral, opened your email several times, then it does make sense to sort of like maybe email them once in 1 month. But I wouldn't say that I wouldn't do it for all the months. I would stop after maybe 2 months or 3 months and then pick it up again.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Awesome. Are you responsible for the entire sales funnel, or mostly the lead generation at this moment?
Yeah, I would say the initial part of it, the lead generation, just making sure that the demo is booked. Beyond that, I am somewhat involved in the later part of the process, where let's say you send out those follow-up emails to your opportunities, etc. Make sure things are working. But now the team is expanding a little bit more, so we have more team members who specifically look at the A side of things, like once the call has been done and what to do next. So yeah, that way my bandwidth is opening up.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. It also helps a lot with context switching, probably. Like,
Yeah.
how do you experience that with like focusing on different things at the same time?
Yeah, it is actually I would, it's a tough call, right? Because generating leads is as important as following up with your opportunities, right? So it had to be divided like half and half, I would say. And the priority would differ week by week, and even sometimes day by days, depending on what the business is actually focusing on today. But now that like we had, let's say, a lot of opportunities in the pipeline, touchwood, and we have a lot of customers who or rather, let's say, let me correct myself, prospects who are interested in Zenskar. We want to make sure that they get the right set of attention, and I alone could not do it, definitely. So, which is why the team is also expanding in a positive way, and that is helping. But initially, to juggle it meant doing it half and half, and maybe deprioritizing the other based on what the requirement is.
Yeah. Did you also have like specific blocks where you like focus, okay, I'm going to respond to emails now, I'm going to now do cold calls, or did you just do everything at the same time in order of priority, so to say?
Yeah, so I started off like everybody starts, like you do everything, try to do everything in one go, and try to be that, master who can do everything, like what do we say, just manage multiple tasks in one go. But I soon realized that it's not efficient, and you burn out a little bit faster that way. So it's better, let's say, instead of sending 100 follow-up emails in one day and then moving on to the other task, which gets very taxing on your mind, and you really don't feel like writing any other email the next few days. I learned this the hard way, that you should like divide. If let's say you have 100 follow-ups to do in a week, the ideal way is to divide it into the 5 days, so it feels a lot lesser. And as in when you just take it off your let's say to-do list, if you have one, it is just more satisfying that way. And you can tell that, okay, I made cold calls today, this was my success rate, I wrote these emails, I also prospected somewhat. So I just felt that'd be more satisfying and time effective as well.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. Maybe one question also about that, because like there are moments where a lead is like more interested, their buying intent is higher than others. Would you also like to would you prefer it on the one hand to stick to like the context windows? Okay, I'm gonna do calls these 2 hours, I'm gonna do emails, or would you like, okay, if there's like a buying intent, and I need to respond right now, I want to drop everything and fully jump on that lead?
That's a good question, actually. And as much as we don't want to like move to separate tasks right in between your focus time, it's not the ideal way. But let's say if the lead actually needs that attention, and if that means, let's say, to get an X number of dollars in your revenue, it does hold the value to, for you to switch gears at that moment very quickly, reply to that email, and come back to your focus time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. That makes a lot of sense. That's what we've been thinking about as well. We're going to be introducing tasks soon, and Luna is also going to instruct you, like that's the plan. Luna is going to instruct you. Okay, hey, these leads are hotter than the other ones, so the buying intent is higher, but we're like struggling because on the one hand, context switching is a productivity killer because you continuously need to, okay, oh, I need to get in my phone call zone. I need to be like, now I need to focus on really writing the best possible emails and stuff like that. But on the other hand, if someone says, hey, this is super interesting, and Luna thinks, okay, we need to jump a call with these people just to close the last 5% of it and to get them into like a demo, that would be yeah,
Mhm.
that would
Yeah,
be awesome. But
that would be very
so,
helpful. Like
interesting.
today, a lot of the medias I think would get lost between, let's say, if they're actually reaching out to so many accounts on a weekly or monthly basis, they wouldn't know like what to prioritize. It we often end up losing track also on the activities, that who opened the most emails. It is amazing if the tool could give us a list of people who are high on priority and that we should follow up with. So yeah, that should help.
Exactly. Awesome. Awesome. Cool. One question that we of course also think is very interesting, given all of the developments all around us, the entire industry is continuously changing. It's very dynamic. What would you say is the perfect balance between the human and AI in the sales process?
Um, uh, that's a real trick question. I feel that I was just discussing with my founder the other day that I feel at the speed that AI is actually owning processes, making sure work is done more human like. We may just be redundant if we can't add any specialist value, right? So I'll still try to answer that, but I just feel that there is maybe not all process. I feel what is missing today in my tech stack is the seamless integration between tools as well, right? If I want to automate some processes based on the kind of replies I'm getting, and then make sure that AI understands the emotion between, what the email sender wanted us to understand, and then draft a response. I'm not sure if I have the seamless integration. That's where I see a problem. But otherwise, I think it's just about setting up the processes initially where you would need a human to set it up. AI can't set up your processes for your company. It can't understand your use case unless, of course, you're sitting on ChatGPT and asking it to give you a script, right? That can I put this into my system and hope that all the emails go out on time? That may not happen. Sometimes systems tend to break all the time. We just need someone to make sure the flow doesn't break. But otherwise, I actually need to think. I think AI can do pretty much everything if used the right way.
Yeah, which is on like from a technology perspective really cool, but also from like the salesperson perspective who is responsible for the entire process. I can also imagine that it's like you said, it's a tricky question because yeah, I think there needs to be a good balance. And I hear a lot of people talking about, maybe that's an interesting question. I hear a lot of people talking about the fact that especially B2B sales, it's based on relationships, right? I'm not just buying Zenskar, I'm also buying from you because I like our conversation and stuff like that. What would you say? And this is probably going to be a difficult question, but what would you say is the importance of that, and how can AI, like, what will be the influence of AI with that? If you
Um,
understand what I mean.
yeah, I think relationships is a very good point. Uh, they like if you are not connected to your prospect at a level where they can trust you, and they actually feel that this is, let's say in our case, the billing provider of my choice because I have full confidence on what they are saying and I believe in their vision as well. uh, you might not as well make the sale, right? And even if you do, then it's possible that your customer will churn quickly and they will move to another, let's say, company as soon as they can figure out a lower cost, just because you didn't have a relationship with them, you're just transactional. So I get it why it's very important, and I think here is where maybe the human intervention is important because AI can't relate on events that both of you share. For example, when CFOs come and tell us, oh, hey, I was facing real serious issues with not getting the cash flow in on time, and I don't know what to do about it. I think AI wouldn't be able to sympathize with them, and maybe to some extent, yes, but just to share that experience and be able to say that, yes, we have seen the same and we have, let's say, faced these issues as well, build that relationship would go missing. But yeah.
if you could
Mhm.
imagine like the ultimate perfect sales tool, SaaS tool, like using everything that you can think of, what would be the most important feature there, or like the most important set of features? What are you missing in everything that you've been seeing today? Or you think, okay, if that's gonna happen, that would almost be too good to be true.
Okay, I think my the ideal SaaS tool for me would be somewhere where I can, prospect in one go. Just also like something that also acts like a CRM to some extent, where I know which leads who's working on. I have the ability to track everything in one place, maybe, and then also like not invest a lot of time finding emails for everybody on using separate databases. Each database alone has some restrictions. It won't have the designations emails for all the prospects you want to be reaching out to, and then you have to rely on, let's say, multiple databases, try to gather the data in one place and then reach out to them. So that's somewhat of a time consuming process, unnecessary. Like that can be avoided, but I really don't know a tool that can help us do it in 1 minute. Today, like I think the waterfall approach would be helpful here to figure out or use multiple databases and get the emails. And then the next step, I guess, would be also to figure out and divide them in terms of industries that they belong to, right? When once you've prospected, so that when you're writing those personalized emails, you can actually leverage that. Okay, this is the industry that I come from, and I want AI to help me draft the first email, so that I can take inspiration, add my inputs, make sure that it is totally relevant to the prospect I'm sending, and then hit the send button. And then, like once all the emails have gone out, I would definitely want to see the tracking, which are the hot accounts, who should I follow up with, probably hopefully create tasks for them on my own, and then also do the follow-ups, and just in case something is missing, send out email alerts that okay, this follow-up has been pending for so many days, etc. So I think that would help the process. And maybe something that would do wonders is like if based on the response that we get from prospects, the tool has some capability that can help us figure what could have gone wrong based on the response that comes. So I guess those.
That would be awesome for sure. Nice. Thanks so much for that feedback. And before we come to the end of this interview, like we always wanted to give you the floor. If there's anything that you want to share with the people listening about yourself, about Zenskar, about your experiences, just go wild. Yeah. So take the floor.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for this. But like I just really want to, make sure that this, if in case like this reaches to any of the finance folks out there, any product managers, any of the founders, that today, like we understand in the space, like in the B2B space, it is essential for you to be closing deals, closing customers, and making sure that their experience with you stays seamless, while you can also ensure that you have, let's say, enough working capital on time and the cash flows are not delayed. There are no poor experiences in terms of you having to offer support costs because there were inaccuracies in your billing. There's just so much room for every single persona out there. CFOs want that, for example, I know companies where they offer usage based billing and they can only collect the money towards the end of the month. For that whole month, they have no visibility on how much revenue will they get. And I think that seems like a nightmare to be. I wouldn't want to be in that place for sure. So we at Zenskar are trying to help, let's say, CEOs, CFOs achieve their vision and, offer, let's say, subscriptions in advance, so that they can make sure that okay, this amount of revenue I'm definitely getting, and beyond this, if there are any overages, Zenskar will help me to send out those invoices on time, make sure those are accurate, those are settled for the amount that the customers have already paid to me, and then I can bill them accurately. And when it comes to, often we've heard in the industry that RevRec is a huge piece and a huge problem statement, especially when you have complex billing. You don't know where to recognize it and when, right? Whether like after the service has been given or when the customer paid for it, like how's that going to be? And usually the solutions are very limited to the flexibility you can define per your use case. So we as Zenskar also help you stay compliant with, let's say, flexible RevRec workflows that can also be automated to a large extent. Lastly, I guess, not to sound very salesy here, but just in terms of collections as well, like you can actually tweak the email reminders to be what you want them to be and the language you want them to be, the different things that you would want to tweak, and then just make sure that it happens automatically, so you're not missing out on a revenue for sure. That's it.
Awesome. Thanks so much for that. That's really interesting and really helpful also for the people that are listening. So as you know, as everyone, anyone that's listening that is interested, feel free to connect to Shristi. And well, I want to thank you so much for all of these insights and all of this information and sharing your experiences with everyone that is listening to this. It's been a really great and insightful conversation. For everyone that is watching, thank you so much for tuning in again, and we'll hope to see you again at the next episode. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Thanks everybody who's watching. Bye-bye.